You're listening to Main Character Manifesto, where we talk mindset, self-identity, and how to step into your power. I am your host, Ceci, your go-to life coach for real talk and major glow-ups. This is your space to get inspired, get honest, and get moving toward the life you know you're meant to live. Let's get into it.
Who's that girl? That's me. I'm on fire. I'm a hot girl. I'm a hot girl. I get anything I want. This is my world. I make big moves in my big heels. Since the day that I was born, I've been a big deal.
Let's do this. Hello. How is everybody doing? How's everybody holding up? I love that I ask that question every single time. And my dream would be to get a real life response. You know, we're manifesting a podcast tour, maybe 2026. You never know. Listen, I am putting it out into the world and then I'm going to be ready to receive it. So here we are. One of these days, I'm going to get a live response. That's all I'm saying. So for today's podcast, I really wanted to touch on a few things that have been kind of showing up in my life. And I was thinking, you know what? Let's check in with the girlies. Let's see what energetic test have they been receiving, because the ones that I've been receiving have been really wild and I want to share. So have you ever noticed that as soon as you're like feeling good, you've been doing the work, you're like, okay, things are going well, I feel great. And then all of a sudden, something happens, someone from your past comes back into your life. And you're like, wow, I had a really good memory of this person. And like, this is pretty cool that we're back in each other's life. Let's explore it. And then you realize that they are a test. They're coming back into your life to test how much you've grown, to see where your values are, to see where your boundaries are at. And it will take you back to that same place where you were years ago. And you will realize, wow, my perception back then was so skewed. I've had 2 instances recently where people have came back into my life, and these people were in my life. I think one was like maybe 7 years ago and the other one was maybe like 5 years ago. I don't know, something like that. And at that time, my self-identity was so low. I had been doing the work, but I still had a long, long way to go. And the shit that I put up with back then was really crazy. And when these people came back into my life, I was like, oh, this is great, because I had a different idea of who they were, like a different memory of who they were. That was not reality. What was real was completely different. And even though I think maybe one of them evolved a little bit more than the other, and I did see some change in them, it was wild. It was like a magnifying glass to myself, because it brought me exactly back to where I was 7 years ago. And I realized, I was like, damn, I held this other person at such a high pedestal because maybe they were good looking and for whatever other reasons. But I was like, damn, you're actually not what I remembered. Like, you're not somebody that I would want back in my life. We have totally different values. And all of the things, a lot of the things that I had kind of brushed to the side, where I was like, oh, I think sometimes when we have such a low self-identity, we really allow so many more things to come into our lives. We don't hold our boundaries. We don't stand up for ourselves. We don't speak up about our values because we're so afraid of getting shut down or getting turned away or not being loved that we don't stand up for ourselves. So it was really great for me to get this opportunity to see these people as they truly are. And so, like, the first one that used to be in my life 7 years ago, very briefly, and then I was able to actually see them as they were, and then you're like, wow, okay, this is a test. Like the universe is testing me to see, have you grown? Do you still hold yourself at a very low standard? Are you creating your boundaries and keeping them? Are you holding up your end of the bargain when it comes to your values? Like, what are you doing to really be true to yourself and stand up for what you believe? And I was very proud of myself because I spoke up in everything that I believed in, and I didn't allow certain things to come back into my life. And I was like, yeah, I just don't think that this works for me. I don't think that, we're aligned. And just to be able to stand up with confidence and not have this self doubt that I'm doing something wrong, and know deep down in my core that this was a test and they were supposed to come back to me. Well, not come back to me. Rephrase. They didn't come back to me. We crossed each other's paths again. So the fact that I was just like, wow, we were absolutely meant to cross each other's paths, but we were absolutely not meant to be in each other's lives for a long time. So that was great. And then this other person that was from my past that sent me a message and we started chatting, it was just so clear that we were in such different places in our lives. And the type of energy that I want to invite into my life is just calming and peaceful and nothing like what I was getting from this person, and it really reminded me that during the time that I met this person, it was COVID. We were going through it, that everybody was going through it. I was definitely feeling very low about myself. And I've realized that I'm just so proud because these two instances, and I feel like they were almost like back to back, like that the universe was like, all right, you're feeling good. You're feeling like you're all healed. Let me throw you a test. Okay, let's see how you're gonna handle this. He or she I feel like she's upstairs, like looking down. She's got her bag of popcorn and she's like, all right, let's throw her this one, and they're just like laughing. Everybody's looking. Like, it's like watching a movie. And then, all of a sudden they're like, oh, she's feeling good again. Let's throw this other one. And that's how life is. You have to trust yourself and you have to really sit back and be like, you know what? This is kind of cool that these situations are happening because that allows me to really reassess where I am. Because what if I would have been like, damn, like, this person's back in my life. Let me take this opportunity. Let me make it work. Like, and ignore those deep down feelings that my intuition was giving me as soon as I started talking to them. What if I would have ignored it again? And what if I would have spent another 1 year, 2 years, whatever the amount of time that it was, trying to figure it out or trying to make it work? The moral of the story is just because things come back in your life, that doesn't mean that they're meant to be. It might just be a test from the universe. And listen, I have been passing my test lately because the way that I was just like dodging bullets was on another level. Because sometimes when things come back into your life and you feel like, wow, this is like a new opportunity. It's like a fresh perspective. It's a brand new look from something that felt comfortable at some point. And sometimes it's just falling back into old habits that don't necessarily align with who we are now as this new person that has evolved. And if you allow that to come back into your life, then you're going to be taking a couple of steps back. And the way that you know if this is aligned or if this is not aligned is the way that you feel. I've been listening a lot to Abraham Hicks, and he talks a lot about your energy will tell you and will guide you exactly where you need to go. As soon as you say yes to something, your gut will tell you it. You will feel that feeling of like, sometimes we feel that a little bit of fear because it's something new and we're expanding our horizons, we're expanding our capacity. That's totally different than that feeling of being uncomfortable and not wanting to do something and feeling like it's just wrong. We know, especially women, we always know when something is good for us and when something is not good for us. I always joke around and I say that if my friends don't know what I'm doing, it's because I know I'm not supposed to be doing it, right? Like, for example, if I'm talking to a guy that I know they will not approve of, then I know this guy's probably not the guy for me. Why? Because I know that they're going to run through the checklist. I know that they're going to be like, does he do this? Does he do this? Does he do this? And it's not like every person needs to be ran through a checklist. That's not it. It's just like core values and things that they know are important to me. Sometimes we don't hold ourselves up to those standards, or sometimes we don't listen to our own standards and our own boundaries, and we're like, "Oh, he's just this, or he's got potential, or this or that." So sometimes when you're talking to your sister or when you're talking to a best friend or your mom or whoever, and they ask you the tough questions, then you really are talking about what the reality of this person or this situation or this job. We always know deep down inside if it feels good or if it doesn't. So that is like a perfect indicator to know when something is coming back into your life, when you're being tested. How does it feel? Does it feel good? Like, are you aligned? Does it feel like it's matching the new version of you, or does it feel like it's disrupting you and taking you back to old feelings of not feeling enough or not feeling good? So really, really pay attention and assess what feelings they're bringing up for you. And this could be even just an old job or an old client that you used to have that maybe wasn't working as well with you. So there's so many other things that it could be. It could be a friendship, it could be a family member. There's a lot of things, there's a lot of ways that the universe will test you to see where you're at. So this brings me to my first takeaway, which is awareness of the difference isn't enough. Alignment happens when you make different choices. So when the situation comes back into your life and you're aware of the differences, you're either going to have the choice to fall back into these old habits or to make the change to create the boundaries, stand on your values, and push it away. Okay, so this next reason why I think the universe is testing you. So the universe is not testing you to be cruel. Let me just tell you, the universe has your back 1,000%. The universe wants you to thrive. The universe wants you to be the best version that you can be, which is why it's testing you to see if you're holding up your end of the bargain. So basically, what the universe is doing is it's giving you a chance to reclaim your power. And the way that this hit me when I really was thinking about this, I was talking to my friend about this, about how these people came back into my life. And then I really realized and saw them for who they were and how different we were, because this different version of me did not accept all of the things that the old version of me would allow. So, the way that I was able to stand in my power, speak with a calm energy, say what I needed to say, and just be like, no, that's just not what I'm interested in. That's not what I want in my life. The way that I took my power back right there was the best feeling ever. So, the universe really wants you to take your power back. What situation in your life? Is it an old job or is it a friendship or whatever it is? You're getting that second chance to speak up for yourself and to really have that chance and say, like, no, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, but it doesn't align with my values. And what a powerful way for you to be the one to just walk away and say, no, thank you. That's not for me. Oof. It seriously gives me the chills because it is such a beautiful sign of personal growth to just be able to walk away from something that you used to think you really wanted, or you used to think, like, wow, that would have been something great. That, relationship would have been something great. But then you realize when you get the opportunity to get it back, you really understand that it was really never meant to be. And that the way that you've grown and the amount of work you've put into yourself has been immense. And it's only going to keep paying off in the end. So keep going, keep at it. Another thing that this does is it magnifies the areas where you really, really need to set some new boundaries. If this situation comes back into your life and you feel like, okay, this could work, but then all of a sudden you feel like you're not feeling aligned and like that gut feeling is telling you that it's just wrong, that just means that you need to reset your boundaries because maybe you were never meant to allow this person back into your life and you didn't stand up for yourself. So, resetting those boundaries and then making that change as soon as you do feel like it wasn't the right move, that is so important to do. So, staying aware when you're making these choices and not being afraid to pivot and be like, yeah, you know what? I tried it and it just doesn't work for my life anymore. So even if you didn't turn them away from the very beginning, but then you decide to turn them away as soon as you feel like it's not correct, that is also a good move. And that is also a sign of growth. Our takeaway number 2 is growth will always give you an opportunity to embody it. And that's how you know it's real. Meaning that as soon as you're growing and evolving and feeling good, life will throw you a test just to see if you're going to pass it, just to see if you're actually going to stand up for yourself and do what you should be doing that you didn't do the first time around. So don't fail that test. Okay, so let's move into part 3. You know that you have grown when you feel at peace walking away and you don't feel tempted to go back. Because when you start thinking about how you feel around the situation or around the person or around the job, when you start to think about how that makes you feel and how that pushes you out of alignment, and you don't think about all of the flashy, juicy things that it comes with. Maybe they're a good looking person and maybe you had fun and maybe, you had this chemistry or it was magnetic, whatever it is, or the idea of this person or the idea of the job or the perks that it comes with. When you stop being tempted by the flashiness of the situation, of the person, of the chemistry, when you let go of that and you actually feel at peace because you know deep down inside that's not working for you, girl, that is major growth. Because basically, you're just seeing people differently now, not because they've changed, but because your values have changed and because now you are sticking to your boundaries and you're actually feeling better about yourself and your self-worth and you're seeing yourself at a higher level. So then when you see this person as they actually are, not from the pedestal that you had them in or the job that you had this, idea of this amazing job when it was really draining the life out of you, when you see it for what it truly is, you realize that it's okay to walk away from it and you're actually at peace about it. So basically, at this point, you're not triggered, you're not pulled in, you're stepping back, you're observing, and you're not reacting. And you feel totally at peace just walking away. Takeaway number three, you're no longer who you used to be when you no longer crave what you used to tolerate. Okay, so now that we've talked about the different things that happen and why we're being tested, let's talk about some things that you can do when one of these situations come up and when something comes back into your life that you were not expecting. The most important thing is pause before reacting. Take a moment, listen to the person, listen to the situation, and just pay attention to what they're saying. And then take a step back and ask yourself, is this aligned with who I am becoming? Does this match my values? Does this match the boundaries that I've created for myself? How am I feeling now versus when this situation was back in my life then? Another tip is if you're into journaling, you could compare and contrast how you used to be with this person or this situation and how you would react now. So, really understand how you have evolved before you even start bringing this situation back into your life. I also think really remaining very aware of that person that used to say yes to all of the things that did not serve her. So, acknowledging that some of the things that you've said yes in the past, you don't have to say yes to again. So, really taking a step back and understanding and maybe writing down what your boundaries are or what your triggers are. Write down what this situation makes you feel, and then that alone will tell you if you want that situation back in your life, or if right away, as soon as they start talking to you, you're like, ooh, no, thank you. No, thank you. We are not aligned. And most important of all, take a moment to celebrate choosing yourself. The way that you have evolved is such a beautiful thing. And the fact that you were able to have the opportunity to have this situation come back into your life, and then you calmly, beautifully spoke your piece, held your standards, talked about your boundaries, talked about your values, and then gracefully walked away from the situation, that deserves a round of applause because that is a beautiful way of evolving into the best version of yourself. So I commend you. I would love to hear if you guys have been tested lately by the universe and what that looks like. How did you handle it? What happened? How did you walk away? How are you celebrating? I would love to hear all of it. With that said, let's close this episode up. And I just want to remind you, you are gonna be tested, not because you're weak, but because you're ready. Let the past knock on your door and let it find a locked door. And if this resonated with you at all, DM me test past so that I know that I am not the only one during this Mercury retrograde that has been tested. And like always, thank you so much for tuning in. I truly appreciate seeing all of you show up week by week, and I can't wait to keep growing and keep evolving. If you have any show requests on topics or questions that you want me to expand on, leave them in the comments. I would love to get feedback. And I would love to create any content that you guys are interested in. So please remember to rate, like, subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you like the show, share it with a friend. It helps the show grow and for other people to find it. And like always, please keep showing up. The world needs your story.